Exploring Middle Adulthood. I'm Reniqua.
I'm Eric.
I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Laura.
Okay, so we're going to start by introducing our interviewees. We interviewed a 53-year-old African American man by the name of Russell. He was born into a two-parent household. His parents divorced shortly after when he was 4 years old. He was raised by his mother and stepfather. He has three sisters. He's been married for 20 years. He's a father of five. He has three daughters and two sons. Owns a successful trucking company. His hobbies include watching football and CNN, traveling, and attending car shows.
Our next interviewee is Lisa. She's a 48-year-old Caucasian woman. She was born into a two-parent household with two brothers, and her parents divorced when she was in her 20s. She has three children, and she had her first child when she was 18. She works for Mohawk Industries, where she's now worked for 5 years. She lived in New Jersey until her 20s and moved with her previous husband and son to Georgia for a job. Her hobbies include working out, but she mentions not having time for her personal activities due to her children. And she recently became a grandmother a month ago.
So Megan is a 42-year-old Caucasian woman. She was born and raised in a two-parent household. She has two siblings, a twin brother and a younger sister. She's been married to Eric for 7 years. She's a mother of two children, one son that's 10 months old and a daughter that's a year and a half years old. Her job is the director of marketing for a company off of UPS called Where to Go. She does not have a lot of time for personal activities due to caring for her children and work. Her hobbies include Girls on the Run, watching sports, doing activities with her children, volunteering in the community, and spending time with her friends and family.
So our next interviewee is Robbie. He's a 40-year-old Caucasian man. He was born in a two-parent household with a younger brother. He was born in New York and moved to Georgia when he was 18. He's been married to his wife for 8 years now. Although they tried, they have no children, but they interact with the youth frequently. He works for a steel manufacturing company named Cobb Industrial Incorporated as the vice president and a project manager. While Robbie's job is quite time consuming, he makes time to stay fit. His hobbies include CrossFit, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, hiking, camping, and watching movies.
So our last interviewee is Colleen, who's a 54-year-old Caucasian woman. She's a retired elementary school teacher who spent 30 years teaching the second grade and currently works part-time. She was born in a two-parent household as one of six children with three brothers and two sisters. She has two children, a 19-year-old boy and another 23-year-old boy. She is a wife of 27 years who is active in many clubs and organizations at McKendree and on the GCPS board. Her hobbies include reading, being with her best friends Lena and Heather, and relaxing at the lake.
So now we're going to get to know our interviewees. Our first question we asked, do you feel your childhood has impacted who you've become? Why or why not? So our first interviewee and our third, Russell and Robbie, exhibit conscientiousness, which can be defined as a propensity to follow socially prescribed norms for impulse control, to be goal-oriented, and to plan. Russell's answer was, my stepdad taught me a lot about having a strong work ethic. He made me work hard, and I still work hard today. Our next interviewee, Lisa and Megan, exhibit extroversion, which can be described as the general tendency to experience positive emotions, as well as by traits such as sociable, lively, and active. And Lisa's response was, I was lucky enough to live on a street where we had approximately 30 kids in my age group. We grew up with ready-made friends. I guess this made me a more confident and outgoing person. Our third interviewee, Robbie, exhibits conscientiousness. His response was, I grew up in a strict household based on respect, integrity, and hard work. If I wanted anything, I had to work for it. Megan exhibits extroversion like Lisa, and she said, I grew up with two siblings in a household with both of my parents. I was very social in school, and I have a large family, which has helped me be more open to speaking to coworkers today. And then lastly, we have Colleen, who exhibits agreeableness. which could be described as a person's ability to put other people's needs above their own. And her response was, I'm the youngest girl, and I grew up not only having brothers and sisters, but close friends of the household that taught me how to share. We didn't have all the things that we always wanted, but we were never without the things that we needed.
So this is our second question that we asked our interviewees. What influenced you to choose your current profession? So Russell has a traditional stable career, and so does Robbie. And this means that they are on the same career path throughout their lives, and they most likely will stay there until they retire. So Russell's answer was, I have my own trucking company. I've been driving for years, so he'll likely stay in that position until he does retire. And then Robbie said, after a few years of hard work at my job, I made my way up the chain of command. So he stayed in the same career and just moved up. Lisa exhibits conscientiousness, as Dylan said, and the necessity to get a stable income and provide for my children was her response. Megan and Colleen both exhibit identity achievement, which is when you get to the point where you want to make sure that you want to do what you want to do and you don't let other people affect that. So her response was, I love the job that I have, even though my parents wanted me to go on the medical route. I chose to do marketing, and I'm so thankful for that now. And then Colleen's response about identity achievement was, I'm not sure if my upbringing had anything to do with that becoming a teacher, but I know that it was something that made me happy, and I knew that it was something that I could make a difference and be an impact on other kids' lives, a lot like a lot of teachers work for me.
Okay, our third question. Describe your current relationship status. If in a relationship, do you see this person as your life mate? Why or why not? If not in a relationship, why not? Our interviewees had a variety of different answers for this question. Some of them exhibited commitment and others were not open to new experience. Russell's marriage exudes commitment, which means he and his spouse are devoted to each other's personal growth. He says, my wife is my life mate. She helped me start my business, invested time and money into helping me purchase my first truck. Robbie marriage is also exhibiting commitment with, I am married and I 100% found my life mate, Tara, and I love each other very much, and we work hard daily to support each other and strengthen our bond. Again, this is showing how committed and devoted they are to each other's personal growth. Lisa exhibited that she is not open to experience, which means she's more rigid, risk averse, and comfortable mainly with what she already has. She says, I am not in a relationship because I don't want one. Plus, with work and the kids, I don't have a lot of time for a relationship. And also, Colleen's relationship exhibited commitment. I am happily married to my father, and I'm going to be happily married to your father, and I'm going to be happily married to your father until one or both of us will not be living. Even when that happens, nothing will change that till death do us part. Megan has reached the role phase, which is Merstein's final mate selection phase, which means she's has worked to work out their shared lives with her mate. She says, after Eric and I dated long distance for a few years, I moved in with him in Chicago, and we both realized we exhibit a lot of the same goals and daily living tasks. After this, we began to plan our lives together.
The next question that we asked our interviewees is, are you currently involved in any activities or organizations? If not, why? And if so, why these and not others? Russell is a wise thinker. It reflected cognitive and reflective traits of wise thinking, and this was because he was able to examine his actions and then use his knowledge and experience to make further decisions. And his response was, I used to ride motorcycles, but a couple buddies of mine got into some pretty serious accidents and I gave it up. I sold my bike and got out of the bike club. Lisa and Robbie both exhibit agreeableness, which we talked about earlier. Lisa's response was, I am not a part of any activities or organizations outside of my children's sports or academics. And Robbie's response was, I am not involved in any activities and or organizations. Unfortunately, between work, gym, and home life, it doesn't leave much room for any extracurricular activities. And these two interviewees pretty much just prioritize other things. or other activities before their own organizations. And then Megan and Colleen both exhibited intrinsic motivation, which meant that they performed a task because it was personally rewarding for them. Megan said that I am involved in some organizations when I have time between work and my children. I make sure that the organizations that I am involved with are rewarding to me, and I do not waste my time on the ones that are not. And then Colleen's response was, generally, I feel like all these organizations bring something good out of me, or at all else are something that I'm interested in or just enjoy doing.
So for our last question, we asked, do you have any children? If so, do you feel like they've impacted you as an individual? Why or why not? If not, what influenced your decision to not have children? So Russell's answer reflected the traditional breadwinner role, saying, my kids make me want more out of life because I knew if I had more, I would give them more. Lisa and Robbie both exhibit generativity in their answers, saying, they also impacted my perspectives on life because they taught me to be selfless, and that is sometimes more rewarding to focus on others rather than yourself. And Robbie said, I do not have any children. After years of trying it, it never happened for us. In my eyes, of not having children has allowed my wife and I to mentor other children. I feel like coaching CrossFit has been my vessel for helping others, and it gives me great fulfillment. And generativity basically means a willingness to engage in acts that promote the well-being of younger generations. So Megan exhibited a great work-life balance in her answer, saying, I have 2 children who help me have better time management skills. I'm able to have ample time to spend with my children, my husband, activities I enjoy, and work. And Colleen exhibited the self-transcendence characteristic of wise thinking in her answers, saying, well, basically meaning she makes her own decisions based on more of the needs of others and less on her own personal needs or wants. And in her answer, she said, I had always worried about you. It's kind of like you guys and your toys. When you were little, you guys have toys, and when you get older, your toys are a lot different. I don't know, just like the worries I had when you were beginning to walk, where I didn't want you to stumble and hurt yourself, so I walked around funny behind you with my arms sort of out in the front of me to make sure that you weren't going to fall. It's not the same now, but figuratively, I'm not trying to be corny or promotional, but I'm still doing the same thing. I'm trying not to let you fall, but at the same time, I'm trying to let you do it on your own.
So then our final thoughts and reflections over our whole interviewee process. So one thing we found, it was really interesting to see the differences between habits among specified ages. Like the differences between a 60-year-old and a 40-year-old were widely ranged. It was also interesting to hear our interviewees describe theories and themes that we've covered in class without even knowing they were doing so. It was awesome to compare the adults and see the differences between their opinions on specified life instances like children and marriage. Our interviewees were different ages, races, and came from different backgrounds. So it was cool to see their different ways of answering our interview questions. Notable similarity within all of the responses, reflecting typical midlife characteristics, transcending surface value differences. Those are all things that we saw notably throughout the interviewee process. So thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Are we done? No, it's still recording. We can clip it though, I think.
Why won't it let me stop this?